Have you ever wondered how to protect your faith amidst the noise of this materialistic world? Or where to find peace when life's decisions seem beyond your understanding? Revealed over 1400 years ago, this surah is not merely a collection of stories. It is a blueprint for survival in an era of trials, a time filled with optical illusions and the deceptions of the Dajjal. Today, we will unveil the 4 great mysteries of Surah Al-Kahf, which will take you beyond the constraints of time into the infinite wisdom of Allah. You will learn how even when the entire world turns against you, a dark cave can become a sanctuary of mercy. This journey begins with the idolaters of Makkah, who, in an attempt to test the Prophet Muhammad, sought 3 questions from the scholars of Medina. One of these questions concerned a group of young men who had vanished in ancient times for the sake of their faith. These were youth from influential and wealthy families, living under the reign of a tyrant king who claims divinity and forced his people into idol worship. However, Allah had illuminated their hearts with the light of faith. When they saw their nation drowning in the depths of shirk, they made a courageous choice. They would abandon the luxuries of palaces rather than betray their Lord. Accompanied by their dog, they fled the city and sought refuge in a cave within a desolate mountain. There they turned to Allah in prayer, saying, "Our Lord, grant us mercy from yourself and dispose of our affair for us in the right way." Allah accepted their plea and cast over them a deep sleep within the cave, a sleep that was no ordinary human rest, but a miracle that suspended time itself. Their dog sat at the entrance of the cave, stretching out its paws as a guardian. To protect their bodies and clothing from the earth, Allah caused them to turn from side to side during their long slumber. They remained asleep for 309 years. Meanwhile, the world outside transformed. Generations passed, tyrants died, and faith replaced disbelief. When they finally awoke, they felt as though they had slept for only a day or part of a day. But when one of them went into the city with a silver coin to buy food, he discovered that his currency was centuries old. The very faith they had fled to protect had now become the official religion of the city. This story teaches us a profound lesson. When you give up everything for the sake of Allah, He turns the darkness of a cave into a sanctuary and bends the flow of time in your favor.
The second part of this journey brings us before 2 men. One was blessed with all the luxuries of the world, while the other possessed nothing but his faith. The wealthy man owned 2 magnificent, lush gardens surrounded by date palms, with a river flowing between them. These gardens never failed to produce fruit, and his wealth made him so arrogant that he stood before his poor companion and boasted, saying that he was greater in wealth and stronger in followers. As he entered his garden, his pride grew to the point where he claimed that this wealth would never perish, and that he did not believe the day of judgment would ever come. He even believed that if he were returned to his Lord, he would find an even better station, because he considered himself a favorite of God. His humble companion reminded him of his humble beginnings from dust and urged him to say, "Masha Allah, what Allah wills, and be grateful." He warned that Allah could easily send a calamity from the sky, turning the garden into a barren wasteland. But the arrogant man ignored the advice, until one night a divine punishment descended upon his pride. By morning, his entire garden was destroyed. His vines lay fallen, and he was left wringing his hands in regret, wishing he had never associated anything with his Lord. This story reminds us that wealth is a test, and true loss occurs when a person forgets their Creator in the pursuit of material gain.
The third and most mysterious part begins when Prophet Moses alayhi salam addressed his people and mentioned that he was the most knowledgeable person on earth, as he was a prophet receiving revelation. Allah corrected this by revealing that at the junction of the 2 seas there lived a servant of his, Khidr, who possessed knowledge that Moses did not. Seeking this knowledge, Moses set out on a journey and eventually met Khidr. He asked for permission to accompany him, but Khidr set a condition. "You must not question any of my actions, because you will not have the patience for things whose reality you do not yet understand." During their journey, Khidr made a hole in a boat belonging to poor fishermen who had just helped them cross the river. Moses could not remain silent and called it an act of ingratitude. Later, Khidr took the life of a young boy, causing Moses to react in horror at what seemed like a grave sin. Finally, Khidr repaired a crumbling wall in a town where the people had refused them food. At this point, Moses could no longer hold his peace. Before they parted ways, Khidr revealed the hidden wisdom behind his actions. The boat was damaged to save it from a tyrant king who was seizing every perfect vessel. The boy was taken because he would have grown up to become a source of misery for his righteous parents. And the wall belonged to 2 orphans, hiding a treasure left by their late father, which Allah wanted them to find only when they reached maturity. This story teaches us that what we perceive as evil or loss often hides a profound divine wisdom that our limited sight cannot see.
The final story is that of the great and just king, Dhul Qarnayn, whom Allah granted immense power and resources. He traveled to the far reaches of the earth, reaching the place where the sun appeared to set in a murky spring in the west, and then to the east where the sun rose. In the 3rd leg of his journey, he reached a place between 2 mountains where people spoke a language that was barely understood. They pleaded with Dhul Qarnayn to build a barrier to protect them from the tribes of Gog and Magog, Yaajuj and Maajuj, who were spreading corruption and destruction. Dhul Qarnayn refused their offer of wealth, stating that the power his Lord had given him was enough, and asked only for their labor. He gathered massive blocks of iron, filled the gap between the mountains, and melted them with fire. Then he poured molten copper over it, creating an impermeable wall that Gog and Magog could neither climb nor penetrate. Despite this great achievement, he remained humble, stating that this wall was a mercy from his Lord, and that when the appointed time comes, Allah will level it to the ground. This story teaches us that true power is that which is used to protect the weak, and no matter how great the trial, it can be overcome with the means Allah provides. These 4 stories from Surah Al-Kahf teach us that whether it is an era of trials, the temptation of wealth, the arrogance of knowledge, or the intoxication of power, the solution to every hardship lies in complete trust in Allah and patience. This surah prepares us for the time of the Dajjal, where it will become difficult to distinguish between truth and falsehood. Remember, just as Allah protected the people of the cave and revealed hidden wisdom through Khidr alayhi salam, He can also remove the darkness from your life. The only conditions are faith and steadfastness. If you found this message meaningful, please like this video and share it with your loved ones so that this light of knowledge spreads everywhere. Do let us know in the comments which of these 4 stories touched your heart the most. Until the next video, Allah Hafiz.